Great. Good day, everyone, and welcome to this special program where we are talking about the sudden plunge in the oil price. We've seen that the oil price has gone below the zero mark. I mean, in negative territory. This is like uncharted territory. So, as the layman, we have managed to get a few experts to come in and talk about this particular phenomenon to say what does it mean for us and how are we going to survive in this kind of scenario. So with me right now, I have Kariuki Gachago, who is from Kenya. How are you doing, sir?
Hello, I'm doing well, thank you, under the circumstances.
Oh, sure. No, thank you very much. And thank you very much for taking the call on a short notice. But we really want to know what you can share with us because I mean, when you hear it in the headlines, it sounds so dramatic. It sounds so crazy. So just to allay the fears of people out there and give them more insight, what can you tell us about this drop in fuel price? It's so sudden. What caused it?
So let's make it or keep it very simple. Over the last 3 months, business activity levels have reduced dramatically. If you take a typical industry, probably has curtailed its own production or closed altogether, which means that it's no longer consuming fuel or oil. But on the other side, producers continue to produce. You don't just shut, say, a shale production plant just like that. And therefore, you have ended up with a situation where there is a lot of supply. The supply has to be stored somewhere, so the tanks literally are filling up, but the demand has reduced. In technical terms, global oil demand has reduced in the last 2 months by over 30%. So it's literally like running a tap of water. I'm running a tap of water into a jelly can. The jelly can gets full, but the water is going nowhere. So I end up with full tank,
Yeah.
nobody's consuming. Then the typical law of demand and supply comes into play. Supply exceeds demand, so the prices have collapsed. One must differentiate, though, a collapse in the commodity price. The commodity is the oil, and
Yeah.
what we've been reading today about the futures. So
All
somebody
right.
would be wondering what are these futures. So typically a futures contract is Edzai and I agree that
Uh-huh.
Edzai will buy a commodity from me and I
Mhm.
will sell a commodity to him at a fixed price, say 100 currency units. If by the so you agree today that you will buy a commodity at a future price, that's the word future, at a
Mhm.
given price, at a given future date. If by that future date, the price in the market is above that, then Edzai is actually in the money because you're buying a commodity worth, say, 150 at 100.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
vice versa, if the commodity is below that, it means then you still have to pay me 100 to buy a commodity that otherwise would have bought in the market at 80 or 50. So
Mm.
that's what is happening now. People would have fixed future prices, for argument's sake, at $60 a barrel. The prices have now come significantly down to below five, and therefore, if I'm holding a future contract, which is a different instrument, it's pretty much worthless. That's why it's becoming below zero.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
So yeah.
Interesting. Because I mean, from a layman's perspective, the moment we heard that the oil price had gone below $5 initially, and then now we heard it went into negative, we were in panic mode to say, so what does this mean for us? What does it? So if it's a normal cycle, then that is being dictated by supply and demand. So how long do we expect these abnormal prices to last? And yeah, what can we look for in the short term? Maybe say 2-3 months to come.
And the only abnormal things about the supply and demand dynamic is that COVID is not something we have seen before.
Yeah.
Literally, the entire global economy coming to a standstill for an entire quarter. That's not something we have anticipated. A drop of 30% in global demand is very
Mhm.
significant, within such a short time. So yes, the law of demand and supply come into play, but in this case under very unusual circumstances. Now, to
Mm,
your question, what will happen? I think you first have to answer the question of what will happen with COVID in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months. The answer to that, Isaiah, is that we really don't know. Say best case scenario is that come winter in the northern hemisphere, July, we start seeing a flattening of the curve, and probably now
mm,
new infections are reducing drastically. That's the best case we are looking at, and we can start seeing more of the lockdowns being eased in the more advanced market in South Africa, and therefore the economy starts going back to normal. I might be careful with that normal because the other question is, will we ever see the normal as we have seen it? The reality is, again, if I use a very simple analogy,
mm,
Edzai has a trip to Italy in August, even
mm,
though we flattened the curve by July. I doubt you're taking a plane to Italy in August. It will
mm.
take time. Once we say we are over COVID, I think it will take quite some time for things to go back to normal, and we're talking number of months here. So it
Yeah.
will be very subdued recovery in air travel, in normal business activity, in the key industries which have been affected, and therefore equally then the demand for oil will follow a similar trajectory.
Okay. So if I hear you,
So yeah, I think
yeah,
the recent collapse.
yes, you can go on.
Go ahead, Edzai.
Oh yes. So you mentioned
Yeah, so
something
I'm saying
with with capacity to say that it might actually be a determining factor. You mentioned South Africa being an advanced economy, and just tell me, like, because the moment I heard about this, my mind raced, and I thought of Angola, I thought of Nigeria, who are oil producing countries in Africa. And I said, what does this mean for our dear brothers out there? So what can you say in the medium term? What what can Nigerians do in the meantime is when the price is so low, Hello?
Yeah, I think I would look in this particular scenario. I would look at African economy in three ways. I would have the advanced economy. I use the example of South Africa.
Mm,
You have oil exporters, Angola and Nigeria, as you mentioned. Then you have the rest of Sub-Saharan Africa, which are not oil. So I put them in those three buckets. For the oil exporters, their economies will be hard hit. The government revenues and just a general economy is heavily dependent on oil revenue and dollar inflows from the oil industries. So government budgets will be distorted, have already been distorted, actually.
mm,
So they will be hard hit, and I will not be surprised that the economies are likely to go into recession.
is it? Wow, that is scary.
Then the other bigger category is largely imports in Africa. Unfortunately, there is a limit to how advantage they can take of the reduced prices, and that's because one, they do not have dollar reserves, and whatever little they have, they're trying to preserve it given the uncertainty. Already, dollar inflows are stressed because we don't have enough diaspora inflows. Tourism
Mm,
sectors collapsed, exports have significantly reduced. So,
mm,
countries like Kenya, which do not export oil, we largely try to preserve the dollar reserves that they have. In any case, even if they had sufficient dollar reserves, they
mm,
would not have enough storage capacity to buy large stocks of oil to last, say, the next 2 years. So the infrastructure is, at a very low level of level. Then you have the advanced economies such as South Africa.
mm,
I would say, depending on the economy, if I take the economy of South Africa itself, outside of COVID and outside of the oil dynamics, it has been having its own challenges anyway.
mm,
It has had very subdued growth. The rand has been under a lot of pressure and has depreciated significantly.
mm.
So equally as to how much advantage it can take of the collapse, it will definitely. It does definitely have the infrastructure, but probably not to an extent that an otherwise strong economy would have taken advantage of the situation.
Mm. Wow. No, that's quite interesting. These are amazing insights that you're giving us. So, just for my people out there that don't understand any economics, that don't understand any of these financial markets, is is there light at the end of the tunnel? Is there hope in this situation?
Sorry, Zai, I'm losing you there. My network is not so good.
Yes. No, I'm saying for all the people that are watching right now, and all those who watch this screening later, is there hope? Is there light at the end of the tunnel? What can we do as individuals, even if we have no idea what's happening in the markets? What can we do in this kind of times like this? Did you get that? Hello? Okay, I seem to have
Well, Zai, I really lost you there. I don't know the network is problematic on my side or your side.
Is it? Okay, no, I was saying, is there hope? Is there something that the ordinary man on the street and woman can do to try and keep going, in these troubled times? What can they do? Is there light at the end of the tunnel? You didn't hear me again. All right. Okay. So it seems like we have a network problem. Kariuki is joining us from Kenya, and he has given us quite amazing insights as to the supply and demand dynamics that are dictating the way that the oil price has gone down. So there is an issue of capacity. There is an issue of futures contracts where no one is buying them because airlines are not moving, so there's no one who's consuming oil, so therefore there is a constraint in the capacity to store the oil. So at the end of the day, there's so many things at play, and the control that we have is limited because everything is being dictated by the COVID-19 virus. And we just hope for the best. But all I have to say is that let's hold on to hope. Let's hold on to the fundamentals. Let us not panic. Let us understand that these are normal cycles. It's just that there's no uptick of the fuel. There's no uptick for the futures contracts that have been dumped by the traders. So thank you very much to Kariuki. Thank you very much to all of you who have watched this quick insight into what it means to have had a negative oil price, which is something that is unprecedented. So thank you very much for your time, and hope you will spread the love and hope to everyone that you meet along the way. So thank you.